Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors have announced that they have already signed HORFORD, who realized he didn't have much of a chance of winning a championship in Boston and saw the Warriors as a chance to win another championship and play with Stephen Curry. He had been waiting to sign with the Warriors for some time. So HORFORD is a Warriors player, that's pretty much confirmed. HORFORD is the latest apron casualty for the Celtics and now can chase a title with the Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are signing veteran big man HORFORD to a multi-year deal, according to ESPN. HORFORD is the latest casualty of the second apron for the Boston Celtics, who traded starters Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday and lost key reserve Luke Kornet early in free agency as part of the team's efforts to shed payroll this summer. Boston's loss is Golden State's gain, however, as the Warriors are adding exactly the sort of big man they need to compete for the 2026 championship. The Warriors play a fairly specific style on both ends of the floor that many players struggle to fit within. They switch a lot defensively, forcing big men to guard the perimeter. They pass more than any team in the league and rely on their players to make smart, quick decisions. Most importantly, for a center at least, they play two players that aren't prolific three-point shooters in Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, so being able to shoot threes at any other position is critical. HORFORD checks every box. Even in his age 38 season in Boston a year ago, HORFORD still played at a borderline all-defense level. He's shot over 39% from three-point range since returning to Boston in 2022. At his peak he averaged as many as 5 assists per game, and while he won't have the ball enough to do that for the Warriors, his passing and basketball IQ will be very welcome fits. While Golden State will miss dynasty mainstay Kevin Looney, who signed with the New Orleans Pelicans on Monday, HORFORD is a meaningful upgrade for a Warriors team loading up to win right now. As for the Celtics, for now, they are without a reliable, starting-caliber center. Bench players Neemias Queta and Xavier Tillman remain on the roster, and they added Minnesota reserve Luka Garza. But at the moment their center slot remains one of the major questions of the offseason. There has been reporting suggesting that they might try to redirect Anthony Simons, whom they acquired in the Holiday trade, and that could perhaps bring them a big man. Otherwise, with limited spending money and a rapidly dwindling pool of free agents, the Celtics might be left standing when the music starts. HORFORD may not retire in Boston, but he will still be revered as a beloved pillar of this era of Celtics basketball. He played 7 seasons in Boston across 2 stints and was a key part of their 2024 championship team. Besides Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, he may be the most important Celtic of the post-Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett era. He will be missed in Boston, but a chance to compete for a championship with Golden State was simply too alluring to pass up. He was still helpful in defense-heavy lineups, but that meant sacrificing offensively. Similar can be said of Tracy Jackson-Davis, who lost his starting role last season because of his offensive limitations beyond being an athletic lob threat. On the other end of the spectrum, the Warriors unearthed Quinton Post as a 7-foot sniper who led the team in three-point percentage as a rookie. Unfortunately, his defensive limitations meant Kerr was unable to plug him in regularly as a starting center, leaving Draymond Green in the role as a small ball option for the second half of last season. Golden State have had other floor-spacing big men in recent years, including Dario Saric, JaMychal Green and Nemanja Bjelica, but Kerr was always giving up something defensively with those guys at the 5. HORFORD will now bring the balance that the Warriors desperately crave, having been an excellent floor spacer at the Boston Celtics in recent years while retaining his defensive prowess, which Danny Immerman of the San Francisco Standard outlined this week. Even at his advanced age, HORFORD remains a strong defender, both at the rim and on the perimeter in switches. He hardly ever fouls and is almost always in the right place to contest shots. Especially in short bursts, he can be a real defensive difference-maker, Immerman wrote. HORFORD's addition should bring Kerr a new range of lineup combinations and possibilities, giving him flexibility in a way that won't have to sacrifice one end of the floor to prioritize the other. It's perhaps the most exciting new aspect to the Warriors this season, even if that's drowned to a degree by the frustration in Jonathan Kuminga's free agency stalemate, which has subsequently delayed Horford's official signing. Warriors reject Jonathan Kuminga escape plan for Giannis Antetokounmpo dream. The Jonathan Kuminga and Golden State Warriors saga has reached its twilight. Throughout the entire summer, both parties have been engaged in what felt like a dead-end tunnel. While the Dubs front office offered the 22-year-old restricted agent a couple of deals, including a 2-year $45 million and a 3-year $75 million extension, both of them were rejected by Kuminga's camp due lack of a player option in the final year. Amid this, the forward wanted to move away, but the Warriors have even put an end to that request. According to NBA insider Jake Fisher, Jonathan Kuminga and the Bay Area franchise have yet to push back the October 1st deadline for the forward's qualifying offer. The league states that qualifying offers can be extended if the player and the team agree to do so. However, given the severed relationship appears to be between the young talent and the Warriors, there's no reason for them to extend that deadline. So, that means we might be seeing the Dubs star ink a new contract by Wednesday. NBA 2K teams. However, none of this would have happened had the Warriors front office accepted the Sacramento Kings' new sign-and-trade offer. Fisher confirms the Kings tried to restart sign-and-trade talks for Kuminga, but the Warriors aren't interested in taking back Malik Monk in part because of his $21.5 million player option for 27/28. The Warriors want to maintain maximum roster flexibility for the 2027 offseason, Fisher explains. When the contracts of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green expire, Fisher reported. The Jonathan Kuminga situation with the Warriors has grown increasingly tedious for both the NBA at large and the Warriors' own fanbase. By now, it's clear that under coach Steve Kerr, Kuminga isn't going to see the kind of full-time role many had hoped for, even if the team's front office wants to retain him a little longer or maximize his potential. Since Jimmy Butler's arrival, Kerr has repeatedly signaled that giving Kuminga extended minutes isn't part of his plan, making a trade to the Kings felt like the logical solution. But managing the Bay Area front office isn't easy lately. The Golden State does not want to affect its flexibility by taking in Monk's contract. On top of that, the superstar trio of Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler's contracts are set to expire after the 2027-28 season, which leaves the Dub Nation to rebuild its team from scratch. Months passed, still the Warriors' dilemma continues even at the onset of the season. So, with how the Golden State front office is moving, as they denied Jonathan Kuminga an escape, to maintain their flexibility, it wouldn't be much of a surprise that they went all in for the 9-time NBA All-Star. After all, they will be needing a franchise player once they bid farewell to the greatest Dubs player ever, Steph Curry. Now, will that next superstar be Giannis Antetokounmpo or not? We will have to wait and watch. But before that, we can enjoy more of the Warriors' point guard as he enters his 17th season in the league. Warriors urged to trade Kuminga for $78 million explosive guard. The Golden State Warriors have been stuck in neutral all summer. Their offseason has revolved around one question: what to do with Jonathan Kuminga? Rumors have tied the 22-year-old forward to both the Sacramento Kings and the Chicago Bulls. Sign-and-trade scenarios have been floated. Months later, nothing has materialized. Golden State's roster remains incomplete. Warriors offseason on hold. Kuminga's standoff has had ripple effects. The Warriors are expected to sign Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton II, and Seth Curry once his situation is resolved. That expectation comes from Mark Stein. Until then, Golden State has been carrying just 9 players. Mike Dunleavy Jr. may have overplayed his hand by waiting too long on Kuminga's market. Owner Joe Lacob even flew to Miami this summer to personally meet with Kuminga. Lacob has long been one of his strongest advocates, backing the former number 7 overall pick to grow into an all-star caliber player and a future franchise cornerstone. With training camp only weeks away, the stalemate is hard to ignore. Golden State floated in Buddy Hield trade scenario. Jason Timpf of The Volume said the Warriors should stop chasing a major return. He believes they should use Kuminga to pivot out of a bad contract. I think using Kuminga to substantially upgrade from Buddy Hield and get a protected first-round pick back would be about as good as the Warriors can do with Kuminga, Timp said. The time to get a substantial asset return for him was years ago. That time has passed. In this framework, the Warriors would send Kuminga to Sacramento in a package for Malik Monk and a first-round pick. To make the money work, Golden State would need to dump either Moses Moody or Hield. Hield is set to make $21 million this season. Hield had his ups and downs in his first season with the Warriors. His three-point shooting remains an elite skill. The veteran knocked down 42.9% from deep last year. He also delivered one of the highlights of Golden State's season in Game 7 of the first round against the Houston Rockets. He erupted for 33 points and buried 9 threes on 81.8% shooting from beyond the arc. That makes the debate complicated. Timp argues the Warriors should be willing to move on from Hield if it means landing Monk and a protected first-rounder. Monk is a former Sixth Man of the Year contender. He is also a more versatile player than Hield. But is he really worth the cost of both Kuminga and Hield in one deal? Golden State could instead choose patience. They might re-sign Kuminga and keep Hield and Moody in the mix. The roster could be rounded out with expected free agents, giving the group a chance to prove itself. Another path is to hold on to Kuminga, hope his play boosts his value, and eventually package him in a larger blockbuster that reaffirms the Warriors as true contenders. Clock ticking on Warriors' decision. Time is not on Golden State's side. The Warriors have spent the offseason on pause. The longer they wait, the fewer options they will have. The front office faces a clear choice. Trade Kuminga for Monk and a pick. Attach him to dump Hield's $21 million salary. Or run it back with Kuminga, Hield, and Moody, and see what this group can do once the free agent signings are completed. Either way, the clock is ticking. Warriors not interested in parting with pair of 37% three-point shooters in Kings trade for Jonathan Kuminga. The Golden State Warriors are reportedly reluctant to part with Buddy Hield and Moses Moody in any potential sign-and trade involving Jonathan Kuminga landing with the Sacramento Kings. Clutch Point's Brett Siegel relayed that the Kings started the latest round of negotiations. The consensus agrees that the Warriors are standing firm on not wanting to give up Hield or Moody, and may not take on Malik Monk to get the deal done. ANS vs Michigan State Spartans, game highlights. So, some details on this: Kings reached back out to Warriors and talked about what it would take. Golden State still isn't interested in what SAC has to offer with Monk package, Siegel wrote. As both Sam and us have also reported, Dubs don't see trading Hield/Moody as a win right now. The Volume's Jason Timp urged Mike Dunleavy Jr. and company to consider including Hield in the arrangement to get the deal done, believing getting off of his contract would be a win for the Warriors. I think using Kuminga to substantially upgrade from Buddy Hield and get a protected first-round pick back would be about as good as the Warriors can do with Kuminga, Timp wrote. The time to get a substantial asset return for him was years ago. That time has passed. The Dubs front office clearly doesn't agree. Hield, at the MLE, will have more trade value as the deadline approaches. For now, Kuminga's value on his own will have to carry a deal with the Kings. And the Warriors may have to budge on their Monk stance or find a third team to route him to. Warriors roster being molded to the strengths of Jimmy Butler. Lon Beavers on his electric walk-off homer. Entering his first full season with the Golden State Warriors, Jimmy Butler has been working as hard as ever in preparation for the long road ahead. As Warriors Media Day and training camp are now less than a week away, a sense of structure is emerging that will be crucial to the team's early success. Getting the guys together, on the same page, ensuring a shared goal, and setting expectations are the kinds of leadership Butler brings to Golden State. Butler's finals runs in Miami featured teams built around his strengths: 3-and-D players, stretch bigs, and elite shooters. Getting back to the NBA Finals is what it's all about. Versatility across the rotation creates mismatch opportunities opponents can't counter, best exemplified by the 3-and-D role players. These are guys capable of taking the defensive load off star players while they carry the team's offense, knocking down open shots and forcing defenders to stay on guard. Warriors players like Podziemski, Melton, and Moody fit well into these roles and still have room to develop into more central figures in the rotation. Al Horford to sign with Golden State. The stretch big role now dominates all aspects of offense in 2025. While teams now expect their centers to stretch the floor, a decade ago, this was rare. The strategy behind having a big man stretch the floor is to open driving lanes and avoid clogging the paint for players like Butler, who likes to patrol the post, drive, and kick out to the stretch big in one sequence, then attacking the mismatch when a defender stays glued to that same stretch big the next. The Warriors' pending acquisition of Al Horford and the return of Quinton Post ensure there will always be a reliable stretch big on the floor, adding depth to the team's offense. Golden State isn't lacking in elite shooters. Buddy Hield delivered a masterful Game 7 performance against the Houston Rockets, going 9-11 from three-point range in the season's biggest game. Golden State Warriors muted interest in Sacramento Kings star big obstacle in Jonathan Kuminga trade talks. The Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga have still not agreed on a new deal. With both sides still in contract negotiations, no deal has materialized with the 2025-26 NBA season a few weeks away. Amid the contract situation, there have been ongoing trade rumors between the Warriors and Sacramento Kings. The Kings have shown interest in adding Kuminga to their team, however an obstacle remains. Golden State Warriors' interest in Malik Monk appears to be quite muted as his contract is the main issue. One of the rumored deals is the Warriors sending Kuminga to the Kings and getting back Malik Monk in a sign-and-trade. Kuminga would be a nice fit with Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis on the Kings, while the Warriors would get another scorer in their backcourt. According to Sam Amick of The Athletic, the Warriors and Kings have restarted trade talks centered on Kuminga, but Monk's contract remains the holdup. Several obstacles to a deal remain, most notably the fact that the Warriors' interest in Monk appears to be quite muted. His contract is the primary issue, as he has a player option for the 2027-28 season worth $21.5 million that does not fit with the Warriors' future flexibility plans. There are concerns about his fit on the team as well. If they did take him on, team sources said it's likely Golden State would look to trade him elsewhere. The problem with that path, however, is that there's no clarity as to whether that would be possible anytime soon. Jonathan Kuminga's contract situation will be resolved soon. Kuminga has until October 1 to take the Warriors' qualifying offer of $7.9 million for next season. This would allow him to be an unrestricted free agent next summer but would keep him in Golden State for the immediate future because of the no-trade clause that comes with it. However, if Kuminga doesn't take the qualifying offer, he can then accept a more lucrative but limited deal that the Warriors have presented to him during the offseason. Another scenario is a sign-and-trade deal involving the Kings, but given that the Warriors reportedly don't want to take on Monk's contract and how tough it would be to reroute him, this option seems unlikely. The Warriors stars have expressed that they want Kuminga to come back, so it will be interesting to see how this situation plays out. KJ Martin is available after being waived by the Jazz. Much like Kuminga, KJ Martin is blessed with elite athleticism which can lead to plenty of highlight plays particularly on the offensive end. The 24-year-old also has his downsides elsewhere in his game though, leading to his movement around 4 different teams and most recently his departure from the Utah Jazz. Martin was waived by the Jazz earlier in the week, having made 19 appearances for the franchise at the end of last season where he averaged 6.3 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.5 assists while shooting 49% from the field. Prior to that he'd actually been involved in the 5-team trade that delivered Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, with Martin having spent time at the Philadelphia 76ers where to begin the season he shot a career-high 38.1% from three-point range. His best year remains at the Houston Rockets in 2022-23 where he started 49 of 82 games and averaged career highs in minutes, 28.0, points, 12.0, rebounds, 5.5, and assists, 1.5. The Rockets clearly didn't see a future with the high flyer though, sending him to the LA Clippers that offseason for 2 second-round picks. With Martin's NBA career now hanging in the balance, The Warriors could do worse than at least bringing the 6 feet 6 inches forward to camp, especially if Kuminga is absent from the start of it as his free agency stalemate continues. Martin certainly doesn't have anywhere near the level of individual shot creation or go-to-scoring power that Kuminga does, but perhaps having someone to simply be an outlet at the rim could be valuable when defenses load up on Butler and Stephen Curry. Martin doesn't particularly fit into the mold of what a typical Steve Kerr player would look like, yet he might now be the best available option if the Warriors want to regain some of the athleticism they may lose in Kuminga.